Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Flake Takes. My name is Pete, and this is Hasib. Let's get
Yo,
into it. What are we reviewing today?
Ant-Man and Quantumania.
Mm, oh
Oh,
my.
sorry. Ant-Man and the Wasp in Quantumania.
Yes. Um, Now, I have to say that movie was such a little disappointing. I said a little. It was quite disappointing, very
I,
underwhelming.
I think you're
And
being nice, man. It was a shit show in my opinion.
yeah, I won't blame you on that one because they had such a hype for this movie, and I was ready. I was ready. I mean, the writing was somewhat disappointing as well. I think that's what guided the movie to go where it went. But what was your biggest disappointment?
My biggest disappointment with the movie,
Hmm.
um, the CGI and the visual effects, all the corny. That's my biggest disappointment. Um, I just thought this was the worst looking Marvel movie I've ever seen, which is surprising because we're like 31 movies deep now. You would think the CGI would be up to par, but I'm like, yo, this all looks corny. It all looks cheesy and cheap. I was just super surprised at it. Modoc looks like somebody just photoshopped Corey Stoll's face onto a little tiny body.
Yeah.
I I
Honestly,
don't know what happened. This was I I I, I go in a little toasted,
hmm.
expecting my mind to get wavy while watching this movie, and no, not at all. I was more underwhelmed with that aspect of the movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. And to your point, they did a lot of reshoots. You would think it's because they had, and they were gonna take some extra time to really get into it, try to get things situated for it to look as good as possible. But yeah, a lot of it, even some of the actors, aka the girl who played Cassie, her performance, you could tell it was CGI because her actions sequences they felt forced, and it's like she was paying attention more to the screen green screen behind her as opposed to actually performing, and that was somewhat disappointing as well. My biggest disappointment is the direction they showed Kang, like the way
Mm.
they talked about Kang to be that big conqueror, this and that. But and again, I don't think it's Kang's fault. It was more the writing, the way, the direction they took it. I'm like, wait a minute, this is it? I mean, the big bad guy you were talking about, the smart guy and subtle guy, all of a sudden giving speech, the bad guy speech at the end that usually caused them to lose the fight. Oh, come on, man. What's that guy they said was worse than Thanos? Where's that guy? I mean, even if they added another 30 minutes, not that they should have, but even if they did, just to show me how bad and how much he can make these guys suffer before they even find a loop to beat him, I would have at least taken that. But this was a little, really, that's it. I mean, and the fight sequences, where are they? Like there was like a couple, like why was it like where are the fighting sequences? And that's why some directors, when they tell me that's who's gonna direct the movie, I'm like, okay, it's not gonna have that many fights because these guys are not known for the fight sequences.
Mhm.
So that one sort of let me down on that end.
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
have any good part that you liked in this movie at all?
Good parts to this movie. Um, yo, the scene where they have the heist, where Paul Rudd is trying to get
The
the
core.
thing that Jonathan Majors needs, right?
Yeah.
What is it called? What was it? What was it called again?
Yeah, it's the core particle that helps
Yeah, the
him.
core thing, right? For his ship,
Yeah.
right? And then Ant-Man's going through the probability storm and they're kind of fighting against him. And then they all realize they need to help each other. And they do it like ants would,
Mhm.
and they all lift him up. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly like ants work. Yeah.
yeah.
That was pretty nice. Yeah.
How about you?
uh, okay. I would say, what's his name? Ant-Man, um, Paul Rudd delivered with the comedy. The reason he's part, like reason he's Ant-Man, the reason he's supposed to be the comic relief when the Avengers are together. I think he delivered. He was pretty funny in a lot of the areas, and I thought that really held up, to a level because the movie wasn't just about supposed to be like a funny movie, but the comic relief here and there makes you giggle, it makes you, oh yeah, that's funny, that I thought he held it, and which is disappointing because this was what 2 hours and 2.5 hours, and like for me to find that to be my favorite part was disappointing, and I don't know. I like again. The movie finished. I'm like seriously, but I did like the end credit scenes, especially the last one with Kang and Loki sort of announced the next Kang, or how what Loki's gonna be fighting and trying to deal with in Loki season 2. So I did enjoy that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of like the father-daughter relationship, although I didn't care for the daughter's performances and how she was and all that stuff. But
Yeah, man, I didn't think she was good in this at all. Either that or she was super miscast. It's a shame too because I like Catherine Newton in a bunch of movies I've seen her in, like Blockers. I thought she was good in Detective Pikachu.
yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen her in Freaky, but she's good in Freaky.
No,
Um, yeah, it's Freaky's a kind of like a redo of Freaky Friday, but instead of switching bodies with her mom, she switched bodies with a serial killer.
oh, okay.
So that's a really good movie too, man. So yeah, she was good in it. She's typically good in things I've seen, but this did not work for her at all. No.
No, and yeah, and but I did like the dynamic between father and daughter type of relationship they're trying to. Then, granted, he wasn't obsessed with the 5 years he lost. I'm not saying that it's okay, but really, that I'm not gonna. Okay, it wasn't my fault. It's not like you were. Yeah, he was in jail for part of her life, but then being stuck in the quantum world wasn't his thing. It wasn't, so he was a little too obsessed with that. Oh, I have to get those 5 years back, kind of thing. And given that they use that to leverage his, for him to push him to the heist was a whole different thing. But either way, I can't say I have that many favorite parts in this movie. I just it was underwhelming. I feel like, okay, should I watch it again just maybe if I get it, because oh man,
No, same.
I don't think I've ever felt so hard to talk about a movie that I just watched, especially a Marvel movie, because of
Mhm.
usually they have quite a bit to talk about, quite a bit to like or even dislike. But this one, it went all downhill, especially beginning of the third act. It wasn't appealing anymore for me.
Yeah.
As well as I go, but
Do you have it in the MVP even?
well, like the thing is, the MVP is gonna come, like it's gonna come solely on half of the performance for half of the movie. So I would say my MVP would be Jonathan Majors. The man, like he has cojones, that's for sure. Whether like, and I think it's probably because he's like one of those rising stars who's been doing pretty good. And when you listen to his interviews, he's very humble, and when his performance, especially in the beginning, it was so convincing. The man, like I'm telling you, I trusted him. You know what I'm saying? For a bit, I mean, and I know he's a bad guy. I trusted him, and so I sort of, I loved his performance. Now again, that's the third act wasn't his fault. It was, he performed what it was written and what they told him. So I get that. So the performance was good. I just didn't like the direction it went. So for that reason, yeah, Jonathan Major would be my MVP. It took me forever to actually really think about it, because if you going through the whole movie, you kind of want to compliment the whole performance of the person. But in this scenario, it wasn't really his fault. He performed what was given and he did it well. So for that, he's the MVP for today for me. How about you?
My MVP wasn't even in the movie at all. It was Michael Pena, who was Luis in the first two movies.
Okay.
In my opinion, the best part of the first two M movies was Luis.
Yeah, I have to admit that's true.
And was very much missing in this movie. The MM movies are usually pretty funny, and I thought the humor in this one was lacking immensely.
Yeah, and yeah, definitely, because yeah, Ant-Man would have been the straight guy while this guy is the comic relief, and yeah, he takes it away. But all the whole three of them, that crew, from the first two Ant-Man, they definitely delivered a comic relief.
We
Ti,
could we could have used Ti.
huh?
We could have used Rubber Band Man, bro.
Yo, I'm telling you, man, they could have done a lot in this movie, but they didn't. I think they lost an opportunity to really make this one. That's supposed to be the big opening of Phase 5, and
Mhm.
I don't think it panned out. And even Rotten Tomatoes is not really too keen on saying, okay, they're trying to send Disney or Marvel a message, letting them know you can't just throw everything at us and think it's okay. This was now, granted, a lot of people liked it a lot better than Rotten Tomatoes review, but I thought this movie could have been a lot better.
Yeah, I agree, man.
But man, I don't know who's your MVP. Well, yeah, you did just say MVP. Now let's go to the scoring. What like who? I know who. What is your score? Because I know we've basically bashed this movie from the beginning to end. Even our favorite parts wasn't even that great. It was just that instance, like a split second that went by and we enjoyed it. What would you score this movie on a 5-star rating?
1.5.
When
This movie was not good to
yeah.
me. Shout out to the people that actually like this movie. I watched this movie and I could not get down with it at all. There were a few aspects I like. I like the performances. Um, I liked when everybody was in the real world, which was unfortunately only 5% of the movie.
Yeah, I meant to talk about that too. Why am I watching a whole movie in the Quantumania like for 2.5 hours? Seriously, only maybe 10, 15 minutes was outside.
Bro, everything in the quantum mania, in the quantum realm, just was boring as shit to me, man. I was sitting there twiddling my thumbs the whole time. I was just like, whatever.
You know, the last movie I was disappointed in, the last Marvel movie was the um, Thor: Love and Thunder, and I was somewhat disappointed because they were too hard, like they were trying too hard to be funny when it was just didn't
See,
really
I
connect.
wasn't I wasn't as disappointed in that. I
No,
mean,
I wasn't. And I just didn't realize I was gonna be more disappointed in another movie that
like
Marvel was gonna put out.
the only reason I was disappointed in Thor: Love and Thunder is because it's in comparison to Ragnarok, which is like a fucking masterpiece compared to
Mhm.
Love and Thunder. But I think Love and Thunder had a few things going for it that were positives, in my opinion. Where I think this movie only has a couple things that are positive. I think the last movie that Marvel came out with that was very disappointing was Captain Marvel. I thought
Yeah, Captain Marvel. Yeah, I appreciated it. I thought it kind of dragged a bit, but I appreciated it because it was an origin story. So I'll take an origin story that's not great because a lot of the boring parts have to happen around then for you to really understand the character. So I'll take a boring origin story because of that, not no other reason. But once you get the groove, come on. I need to see action. I need to see some, what that character is capable of. And the fact that they're gonna come with the Marvels, I mean, they actually pushed it because after the reshoots. Now I'm getting worried because last time they pushed one was Ant-Man, and look what we got. So that's not really giving me much confidence in the Marvels, even if I do like at least Rambo. That's who I'm really looking forward to see. But it's just yeah, it's get. I don't know. Is it? Are they? Do they feel like because they're already on top, they should just give us anything and we'll like it? Because that's not the case. Because once you produce some good stuff, people are waiting for more good stuff. And
Mhm.
and another thing, the writers were from Rick and Morty.
A couple of them were right.
Yeah, they probably should stop that. Okay, and I see Rick and Morty does deal with the outer space, blah blah, all that, time machine, all that thing that they're doing. Maybe that's why they feel like, okay, let's let these guys write the movie. But seriously, come on. After how many movies? Because I think that's the second movie they did that to that became a complete crap.
They
Uh,
did.
they,
They had Rick and Morty writers on other movies.
I think they wrote another movie. I don't think it was Marvel, but it was another feature, a big feature that sort of like it lost a lot of money to. Can't think of it right now, but I'm watching a few reviews and interviews, and yeah, that's the second one they tanked, and somebody probably should say, yeah, let's stop doing that or let's talk to these guys. Get out of the Rick and Morty mentality and write us some good movie. Anyway, I guess hopefully people would those who enjoy this movie, please let us know, because this was, again, like he said, a shit show, and I don't really. I don't know what to say about this movie. I'll let you do the conclusion on that one, because
Tell me why you liked it.
if you did, yeah, because
I need to know.
it is very important to know, because I want a different perspective. Maybe I'll come to your side and and say, oh, maybe I missed that part. I don't think I will, but
Pete is being nice. I will not come to your side. I just want to know why you like it.
it would be good to hear a different perspective, I suppose. But yeah, I got out of it. I was stunned as how bad this was, because I really expected more. The hype was so crazy about it. All those trailers, all this, all that, reshoots, this and that. Because sometimes they reshoot and it comes out great, but this one was not. Anyway, let us know how you feel about this movie, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Peace.